welcome back. Starting with our first segment for today. As I mentioned, I want to talk today more about the repercussions and the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on our social life. Well, this is of course of great importance, the psychological side, especially when it comes to people after being in a quarantine, or people who were in a quarantine at home, or even our children, and dealing with them because they themselves now are deprived from going out or going to the school. And we know that the school is one of the most important parts or part in the daily life of our children. So today we have the pleasure to have with us Dr. Hussam Dwidar. He's a life coach, and I think he has a lot of things to tell us in this respect. First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
So, unfortunately, we have just, as we were talking even right now, talking about the psychological side after people who were just, let's say, in the quarantine or having some of their relatives, and of course, all of us, we have cases, whether at home or in our relatives, neighbors. So now it is not like even before. Even we can feel it, we can coexist with it, but also we have to take care of the psychological side, because this is the most important part, I believe so.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say stay safe all. The pandemic of COVID-19 will continue till when, we don't know. What I'm going to talk about today is psychological and the emotional part of it, and not the symptoms or the disease part. First thing is we have to be aware that each one of us has different response to the stress and this different response to the pandemic. So it will be individually treated and individually dealing with. So don't try to deal with all your children the same way, and don't try to deal with your parents or your colleagues the same way. It will be different reactions and responses.
Some people are very, very scared, they are panicked, and they don't know how to deal with the situation. And of course, this is reflected also to the children themselves.
Yes.
And let's say, as you mentioned in the beginning, yes, it's going to continue with us. We have to learn how to live with it. Coexistence is very, very important, and it is very, very important to take the precautionary measures. The simple thing, talking about washing hands, the masks, all this.
Yeah, this is the first thing I told you. Stay safe. Stay safe by being caution with everything, with wearing your mask, with washing your hands, with social and physical distancing. This is a very, very important thing. And I think nowadays schools closes, and as you said, it will be affect all our children and our youth. So we have to deal with.
Of course, but when it comes to the children themselves, because I'm talking about children.
Yes.
Okay, so usually we all understand that school is their social life.
Yes.
And actually many of them, they like to go to school not for education or academic learning, but they love going to school. They love to be among their friends, their peers, and they like what they are doing at schools. So it has, of course, a negative impact on them, and we have to learn how to do it. Even when it comes to online, sometimes it is boring for the children, and still after a while they are not interested. A lot of things. Definitely we have to learn how to deal with the situation as well.
Yeah. First of all, you have to accept the grief of your child, okay? You have to give him time and space to talk about his grieving. As he lost communication, he lost his social activities, he lost his friends, and he thought he will never come back. As they reopen and then they close again, so he's distressed. All our children are distressed. Regarding the online education, I think having a 10 minutes or 15 minutes before the classes is to chat with his friend will give him an opportunity to still communicate with his colleagues and friends, and will give him a part of relieving, not completely relief, but he will be relieved, and he will use to do this. With my children, I'm using to give them about 10 minutes before classes to socialize with their colleagues, and they started to make chat rooms with each other.
I think, of course, this happens, but what about, is there a chance, for example, to give them a chance not to go out or being in a crowded places, but at least to be exposed to an open area, to sun and something like that? Because still some of the mothers are very much scared about this important part.
Being in open air with physical distancing is okay, and nothing to do with corona, but you have to give him instructions, but not instructions, with advices. You have to stay away from your colleague. You have to don't shake hands, don't have hugs and kisses and something like this. Just social distancing and open air. It's okay, but not in malls, and not in homes. Not to sit in a closed area. It will be risky. We can't say it will give him the infection, but it will be risky.
I think also talking about another important part that I will talk about the positive side.
Yeah.
The virus gave us a chance to stay at home a little bit, to learn more about each other. Sometimes you can have members of the family, they don't sit with each other. They know nothing about each other. As you mentioned, even off air, you were talking about many people, they faced many problems when they all stayed at home.
We'll take positive.
Of course, and also talking about children, sometimes you can see mothers who are not aware or doesn't know what is going on with their children.
Yes.
And even at school, they don't know what are they doing, how they are learning. Now many of the mothers, they are forced to stay with the child to learn more about him and more about his capabilities as well.
This is a very important role of parents to have some time and space with the children. And the problem is we are stressed, we are anxiety, and but we have to control our anxiety.
How can we
and
do
stress.
this? How can we control this?
Control this by knowing that this situation is existed. I have to accept it. I have to know that even if I got the COVID-19 virus, maybe I have severe symptoms, maybe I have mild or moderate symptoms. This second wave, and it's called now the systemic acute SARS, systemic acute syndrome, respiratory syndrome, COVID-2. This type of syndrome those days is less aggressive, but we have to be aware that having a coincidence diseases like chronic diseases is very dangerous. I spoke about from the medical side of you, and I don't like to speak about it. But you have to accept that we are here. We have to relax. You have to have something to enjoy yourself at home. Don't think about work. Don't think about financial disturbance, and start to talk with your child.
Right, we're going to discuss this in more details again, but just allow me to move on to a quick break, then we'll be back. Welcome back. Doctor, we were talking about how to cope with the current situation, as you mentioned, and again, when you are receiving news around, most of the news are frustrating and negative as well. And we all know that this affected many aspects of life, especially even the simple thing, the social media. Anyone who's at home, the first thing he will do, he will move on to the social media, whatever he is on. And we can see these days, and Actually, I don't know why people are just spreading rumors, spreading negative news, and this definitely affect people negatively and affect those who are in the quarantine as well, because they need to be supported. Now, if you are reading something like this, negative effect, of course, you will have.
It's the responsibility of yourself, of mine, and of Ethan. We have to stop sharing rumors. We have to stop sharing unknown news. When I see any post, I have to search for its reference. I have to know, is it real or not? If I shared a negative post, I can look for I can comment with the positive side of it. I know it's a very hectic and very difficult to know the real news from the rumors, but you can judge yourself. It's your responsibility, it's my responsibility, it's everyone's responsibility. Don't share negative news, don't share rumors, and try to make it positive for the sake of yourself, for the sake of your beloved, for the sake of your child, for the sake of your family, for the sake of your community. You know, we have to play on part of the emotional of our soul, spreading rumors and negative news.
Can we say, or is it true that negative energy can be just received very easily, and trying to avoid negative people or negative news? Because you're talking about something, maybe if I'm reading something, I'm trying to share it, but to take the positive part. But what about those who are just receiving such news? How can this person just move on into another part of the news, and just to avoid this, or not to think about it? Because if you are opening, for example, a page, and you will find all of it about people who are dying, people who died, people who are suffering, a lot of things. So after this, what is the impact of this on the person himself?
You will lose your power, you will lose your energy. Let's say there is no one is negative energy or spreading negative energy. This person
but we have these people in our lives.
These people are absorbing your energy. They need to be positive, and they absorb your energy. So they are negative for you. They absorb the energy from you. We all have our energy. Once we debilitating our energy, we will be negative. Okay. And reading these articles, these negative articles, makes us more negative. So I will not be negative alone. So I will share it for people to be negative with me. So we will balance our energy. This is a very risky. So you have to, once you read any negative news, just keep it with yourself. It's okay. I will not share it. It will affect other people. So I have to be positive. I have to be more cautious for other people, and I will stop it here.
So we have a technique to just to put a line or something that prevent me from being inside something that is negative, or talking to a negative person with negative energy, just listening to him. You don't know, sometimes a friend of you is coming to talk to you, and the first thing, even on even on the groups,
yes,
you find people talking the same,
yeah.
Even if the groups these have nothing to do with, the example, the coronavirus or something. For example, the group of mummies, uncles.
It's a values and of our community, is that if you talk negative, I have to talk negative. How can I say I'm positive while you are negative? I'll go with you.
How can we change this?
We have to change it by accepting the situation, by looking for a positive in each negative thing. I swear by God that every negative situation we have a positive one. Like what you said off air, this this coronavirus, we increased a lot of relations with family. We changed it to the online education. We started to have another techniques to do our work. It's a lot of positives, but we
Let me tell
concentrated
you
on
one of the
negatives.
positive things, even I've seen this with my daughter, for example. I've seen the kids, and before the online, as you mentioned, they themselves away from the teachers. They start early and they sit on the net, internet, and they are socializing with each other, and
Yes.
they are talking that, you know, this is something really of great importance as well, as you mentioned, and they feel happy. They can see all of them, each other, and they are talking, they are playing, they are sharing their experience, what they are doing at home. This is also something that was really interesting for them.
Yes, you have to encourage them for doing this and for wearing their clothes and not with the pajamas to
Yes, of
sit.
course.
Yeah, just wear your clothes, just have your breakfast and then go and socialize online. It will be very nice. Also, it can be done with our relatives and neighbors, with our grandpa, grandma. Even it will be difficult because some of them are not aware of the social media, but let's socialize with them because these old people are very much needed for support, and they don't think that you're not visiting them for their sake. They said you're busy or something like this, but we're really decreasing our visits to them for their sake and for their health.
Right, allow me to move on to another short break. Then we'll be back with more on the breakfast show. Doctor, on the conclusion, if you are talking about some few tips for us, just to learn how to cope psychologically with the current situation and how we can be positive and be a source of positive energy to people around us.
First of all, be positive with yourself. Accept the situation. Accept that we will live with this pandemic. It will be endemic after some times. Just do something you like. You can have time for exercising. Even if you don't like exercise, you can just have a walk around. Eating healthy food is very important nowadays. Keeping the junk food out of our scope is very important. After that, don't be worried about your beloved and children and relatives. Just keep yourself positive and keep yourself healthy. They will be positive and healthy. You know, as we said, that the positive energy is spreading all over the place. Once you make yourself positive, everyone around you will be positive. Once you will be healthy, everyone around you will be healthy. Just think about this. It's your responsibility. It's no one other
To
responsibility.
control our emotions, and I think this is the most difficult part, actually.
It's difficult part, but doing it for the loving ones is very important. You just think that when I control my fears, I'll be good for my children. I'll be what is called a strong person for them. They will start to, you know, it's contagious. They start to be strong like you. It will move like this.
Right, Dr. Hussam Dwidar, life coach, thank you very much for being with us today, and thank you very much for your tips.
Thanks.
Right, still we have more to bring you on the breakfast show. But first, let's move on together for some light news and our cultural agenda. Then we will be back with more on the breakfast show.